The member for Wannon.
Here. My question is to the Prime Minister. Is the Prime Minister aware that Murray Goulburn, which produces this locally made butter, will be hit by her carbon tax, while the company that makes this European butter is virtually exempt from the European emissions trading scheme? Prime Minister, how is this fair?
Order. The Prime Minister.
Virtual butter.
Virtual pound of butter, is it?
Thank
Order. The Prime Minister has the call.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and I thank the member for his question. And first and foremost, I would say to the member that I know that the opposition has been out there fundamentally distorting the impact of carbon pricing, and one of the areas they've been fundamentally distorting it is to the dairy industry, where they have been trying to pretend to people that there are big costs coming, and they've been trying to scare people, and they believe that this is all part of their political strategy, and what they don't want people to have is the facts. They don't want people to have the facts. And of course, in terms of our carbon pricing package, as the member may have seen, there are streams of assistance that will be available and assist people, and he may want to actually get some of that information. I doubt, for example, he's been out in his electorate talking to pensioners about how they're going to benefit and get more money than they need to assist with the average impact of having priced carbon.
Prime Minister will resume his seat. The order. The member for Oxley. The member for Wannon on a point of order.
On relevance, Mr Speaker, there are 40,000 people directly employed in the dairy sector who want...
The member for Wannon knows that he can't add to his question. On direct relevance, the Prime Minister is aware of her obligation. The Prime Minister is responding to the question. The Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. And to the member who asked the question, I went to the question of assistance that we are providing to pensioners and through tax cuts and family payments. Number one, because I doubt he's bothered to inform his constituents of that. And number two, of course we are doing that because we expect that there will be some costs passed through on items where carbon pricing has had an effect. The amount of those flow-through costs is less than a cent in a dollar. It's 0.7% of CPI. The Leader of the Opposition has been out misrepresenting that to the Australian people and saying that it's astronomical. It is 0.7% of CPI, and people will have assistance as they meet those costs. Indeed, around 4 million Australian households will come out better off. And I am familiar with the electorate that the member represents, and in that electorate particularly, I think he should look at the compensation statistics and the way in which people will be assisted. On the dairy industry, we will continue to work with the dairy industry and get them the facts. They'll never get it from the opposition. When we get them the facts, that will help them understand the modest impacts of carbon pricing as opposed to the fear campaign that they've been subjected to. And then finally, I'd say to the member who asked the question, has he ever inquired of the Leader of the Opposition how the so-called direct action policy, the subsidy of polluters policy, is going to affect his electorate? Has he ever inquired about how it's going to be funded? $1,300 per family is the cost. Who's going to pay that? Has he ever asked whether the penalty clause in that policy will be leveraged against dairy farmers? Has he ever asked the Leader of the Opposition that? I suggest that he may ask some of those
the
questions,
House will come to
because
order.
of course the Leader of the Opposition's policy is the most costly way of getting carbon abatement. So the member's got a choice to make. Number one, does he support the -5% target at 2020? Yes, no. Leader of the Opposition says all things to all people. The member can make his own decision. If the decision is yes, he supports the target. Does he support doing it in the least costly way or hitting those dairy farmers and his constituents with the new and onerous burdens that the Leader of the Opposition is planning for them?